Well, the first is that perspective that you get only toward the very end of your career of the value of an opportunity. And it's so hard, clearly, to get it to any point, but knowing that he was toward the end to get a chance to play in the final, you could see the enthusiasm day by day grow here, and he got real comfortable. It was great that he could come and have Sam Reinhart here, a real close friend. So we got to share that with him, and of course, with the way it ended, what a wonderful memory then. Your last memory to be so great, and the majority of players and probably coaches don't get to skate off the ice like that. But that perspective, that joy that he brought, you could see it and feel it from the other players. You like to really like your young players in the locker room to see that, to enjoy it. And they have a perspective of how great this game is, even when you have an incredibly long career like Kyle did. It's still very short. So he brought a lot of youthful energy and joy.
The Beard is now a captain.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Good for him. What a great driver, great example. And in that same vein, like in Kyle was captain and now Radko, that player has to come to the rink with an intensity and a drive, and again, an enthusiasm. But it's the consistency of those guys that's so important. And Radko wouldn't have had taken a practice off, stepped out of a shot lane. He never ever would cheat the game. So when you have a young team with young players coming in, the example of a Radko Gudas is that there's no parts of this game that are above me, and that all players in that room then have to be held accountable to that standard by the players. That's so much more than what the coach does, what the players hold each other accountable to. And mostly you see that for example. He would just be a fantastic mentor for all those players.
And I just remember from that playoff run, the day after you guys clinch, and we're like, well, hey, Boston Bruins, number one. He was like, bring them on. It was like, let's go. That's who we got to play.
The challenge, right? The acceptance of a challenge, and to play the game then with no fear, as we saw him shift after shift, and that was just a given and a constant. That was consistent. But if I was to describe him, it wouldn't be the on-ice stuff, even though his on-ice personality, his off-ice personality, a lot of it is the same. But I missed the Beard bouncing up and down if you said something funny, because he enjoyed it and laughed out loud, and he kind of had the whole part of him, right? The wonderful family, loved being around his wife and kids, loved being around the locker room with the players, worked as hard as he could every night, enjoyed his life. I mean, he's a great mentor for that young team.
Paul, Sam Reinhart, we haven't had a chance to talk to you about the extension and staying
here.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm assuming that attitude has gone out the window now that he's locked up.
Yeah, no, I can tell you the truth about Sam now. One of the great things about that locker room I found is the uniqueness of the players. And in a lot of ways, they're so different, but they're also extreme in their differences. Qualified him as the other player beside Ron Francis that I've coached that had an IQ and an understanding of what happened in the game that is so far off the charts in such a positive way that he's a resource for myself and the other coaches. Is if there's something in our game that we're not noticing, or sometimes you just slide over and say, what do you see? And just for his perspective. Incredible pro, very, very fit, and came back fit again and pushed himself. So he had a career year, made himself a Stanley Cup champion, and was rewarded with a rightful contract that helped us, continue to try to keep that core together. Great mentor again in our room, but another unique personality that we're just very fortunate to have. Trouble, nothing but trouble since the day he walked in. Yeah, very, very similar, because I think Carter's as fit as he's ever been right now. So, nothing but trouble.
I wanted to ask you two things in seriousness. The first one, some of this box one, noticed. There was a drill today that looked very reminiscent of the last 14 seconds of Game 7. Just how important is
well, your video's better. The first 4 days of our camp, and camp is slightly different this year by the structure of the exhibition game. So normally we played that head-to-head on the Monday. So we'd go 4 days, the head-to-head and the day off, and now it's been moved to the Sunday. But our first 4 practice days will be exact. The same practice we've run for the last 2 years. They will also be focused on the 4 major defensive systems that we run, and in order to do that, they're going to be really hard. So that's the whole point of it. This year's, you're always looking for the differences, and you're looking for potential fall off in each year, and it didn't happen. Like the opposite true. These guys are fitter. We know that now by the numbers. They came back. The core returning players are fitter than they were last year, and in turn last year they were fitter than the year before. So at the 50-minute mark today, I'm wondering if is this hard enough? Because they're taking the exact same drills, they're driving through them harder, and they're recovering faster on the wall. Now, by the end of it, it's hard for everybody. It doesn't matter how fit you are. If you push that hard for that length of time. But going back to basics and not getting ahead of ourselves as a coaching staff, and certainly you want to feel like you can add things to your game and grow your game, and we still have lots of room. We have to feel that we can get better. The foundation of what we're doing has not changed, and we want to cement that right at the start as the single most important thing that we do.
I want to ask you too about Christine, what she's bringing from just a different viewpoint. Can you tell us the relationship you have with her?
Yeah, so
This all came together?
her father and I in some ways worked together at True North. As her father ran a lot of youth programs and coached a girl team there, but he's very involved in giving back. He's a great coach. So I first met Christine. I was going hunting with her father, and Christine can out hunt me any day of the week. She knows what she's doing. I don't. But her dad was already at the camp, and Christine and I picked her up, and we drove up, and she was coaching, and we got out of the car and went, oh, that's a coach. She's good. She knows the game. She knows how to articulate the game. So that's a few years back. And then the National Hockey League and the Coaches Association now have a program where we're trying to have a bit of a mentorship program with through the BIPOC, but also through the women, and give them opportunities to come to camp. So she was at our development camp this year, and she came to main camp with that idea. Like, she's a coach, and she's good at what she does. And there are now opportunities for women to coach, and women to coach in the National Hockey League, and she fits that. If you get a chance to talk to her, she's very, very bright, very articulate, works hard at the game, understands how to interact with players. She's just really interesting. You can learn from coaches at all levels, and I've had some great conversations with her about the game, and I'm really looking forward to how her career develops and where she gets to. I wonder that question, when is it going to be the first female head coach in the National Hockey League? Because that day's coming. It's just going to be at some point. Then I don't know if it's the smartest guys are behind the bench, but certainly there's some experience and expertise that you have to acquire before you get behind an NHL bench as a head coach. And now there are women that are getting that experience and getting that expertise. We hope this is a door that opens for her. She can learn something about the way we do things and continue to build her craft. She's a good coach. Yeah, minor upper body last week. We're not worried about it, but we don't want it getting worse. This is an important training camp for him. We expect him to be back full on Tuesday, so he's going to IR skate today, tomorrow, and Saturday. We've got the game Sunday. He'll skate full on and heavy on our off day, and then we expect him back in practice, full contact.
And as you said, big camp for him, Spartan top night over the night.
Yeah. Well, there's opportunity. He had a really good first-year pro. We have a lot of faith in the young man as a player. And as you saw today, we've also got a number of other players that are going to compete for that job. So there is competition there, but we have faith that he can grab it.
Paul, we were talking to Tomas Novacek earlier. He was saying that you guys are already kind of using clips from Game 7 as kind of just
Well, today was systematic, so it wasn't a pump-up video, right? Other than on Sam Reinhart's series winning the last goal scored last year, we've got a hard net drive and we've got a lane net drive on the weak side, and he puts the puck at the net, and that all comes from an incredible D-zone coverage collapse where Dmitry Kulikov knocks the puck out. The guy that drove the net was Carter Verhaeghe, who started behind the net with the puck. So we're working on rush defense. So when you do that, you also work on your rushes for, and we wanted to have the simple, most basic. So we picked the most impactful goals from our playoff run that were just drives to the net. The interesting thing that the number of times that goal came in a tied game. It was 1-1, it was 2-2, it was late. It's just the basics. It's not fancy. There weren't 7 passes made before that puck went in the net. It was a net drive. Carter Verhaeghe pulls that strong side D, and Sam Reinhart finds a hole. So it wasn't a pump-up video. It was just the value of the basics in the most competitive time of year.
Last 2 questions, Colby and then Clay.
When we were talking with Jesper Balabokos earlier, it seems like he's really motivated to have a breakout season, and he's shown that he's had some skills and capabilities to do that. But I mean, what would it take for him to kind of prove he could be a top 9 guy?
Well, it'll be opportunity one. We clearly have some faith in this young man, and he is a young man. And sometimes it's finding the right people to play with. So he has a comfort level with Nosek and Greer. He's done that before, and there's also a spot with Lusteran and Lundell that's up for competition. So sometimes it's opportunity. When you have a very skilled young player, it's hard to find the first place for him. So if you're on a rebuilding team, you'll see lots of kids playing in the top 9, and they kind of learn their craft and get their lumps. And then sometimes you fall to the 4th line, you learn how to grind. Those guys can be very valuable. The guys who spend time on the 4th line, and those guys have to know the defensive side of the game because they aren't going to get as much offensive opportunity, so they can't be giving anything up. So they learn all the hard parts. The hands are there, and the skill set's there. So we think there is an opportunity. I think he's going to be an impactful player for us this year. You guys have all been in the game as long enough to know everybody's going to get a chance to play in the top 9 usually at some point because the injuries just demand that somebody gets a chance. You want to make sure you're in a real good, your game is right. I think he's got enough pro experience that'll leave his game is right.
And Adam, obviously, coming here with obviously some talent and trying to bounce back like you've seen.
Yeah, I think we've probably got the 4 returning players on the blue line that we know very, very well. And then we got a block of guys, and certainly Adam's one of them that's competing to make the team. And they'll be given an opportunity to do that. But another puck-moving defenseman, and we've got a bunch of different kind of looking guys in that, let's say 5, 6 through 9. We don't need everybody to play like Forsling or everybody to play like Mikkola, but at the same time, you've got to be able to take what you do and still play our game. So that's the challenge for those guys in the blue line. You don't have to be 6'8", but you've got to get the puck stopped in the corner one way or the other. We feel he can go back and move pucks and make plays, and then we have a certain style of game that everybody has to kind of adhere to. It doesn't have to look the same because Sam Bennett's game looks different than Sam Reinhart's game. But they still run the same set of rules, and they're highly effective in different styles. Adam Bullequist has the opportunity then, with his speed, his vision, he moves the puck very, very well to apply his game to our style.
Are there any thought on having him run power play?
Yeah, we would have talked about all of that. All of that is potential. We'll look at it in these exhibition games. He's going to get some time on the top on the power play to work that. And we'll audition that role out.